the game on Sunday, and then I want to preview. I want to go through the PFF grades. So
it's
let's
probably
do
some
that.
pretty high grades, I'm guessing. Not on the defensive side.
Offensively, some decent grades for sure. It's always weird. So De'Ami Brown got the highest grade, but, he only played about a quarter of the snaps. He played 25 snaps. He had a 74.8. Sam Howell, I think, by far had his best grade at a 74.0. Of course, he played every snap offensively, 78 snaps. Terry McLaurin had a great game. He was right behind him, 73.7. Charles Leno Jr. Got a good grade, 71.4, but he was about the only guy there on the O-line that graded out well. Andrew Wiley graded out poorly. Sadiq Charles graded out poorly. Sam Cosmi, very mediocre. Nick Gates looked like he graded out okay at 69.2. Still clearly the offensive line is an issue. I think we all can acknowledge that you could see the growth with Sam, or at least for a week, that it was hammered into his brain to get rid of the football if you can. Take off and run if you can. Climb the pocket. I noticed him climbing the pocket more. There wasn't much of a pocket.
Don't let the pass rush envelop you. Don't just wait there for the pocket to collapse on top of you. Use your legs. Use the quick game. I love the game plan for him this past week.
I think he processed a lot quicker. His decision-making was quicker. He really seemed to really have a good feel and good grasp as to what was going on out there. Made some really quick decisions, got the ball out of his hands, kept them off balance as much as anything. So, just, again, a lot of good growth, and I think his consistency really showed.
And I really think that was a massive game for Sam. If he had had another catastrophe, I think we would have been on a real short leash. The calls to play Brissett would have been louder and louder and louder. And if he struggled against the Bears, watch out.
You know what's crazy about the PFF grades?
But now he's got time.
Season.
Now he's got a little bit more time.
The PFF grades for the season for quarterback. The thing which jumps out at me is how low Brock Purdy is. Brock Purdy, I believe in passer rating, he may be number 1 or number 2. He's number 17, I believe, on PFF's ranking amongst quarterbacks. 17 for Brock Purdy?
I see him at 19 amongst quarterbacks that have played 50% of the snaps of 183 dropbacks or something like that.
Well, that's lower than I have him at 17.
Yeah. They have him ahead of Fields, Love, Dobbs, Burrow. Howell's at 24. I mean, Howell's not any better.
Yeah, I see Howell at 25.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, but Purdy hasn't thrown a pick.
I know. I don't know how they grade that. I know that last week we were talking about they had him with a bunch of YOLO balls, if that's what you want to call it. But his numbers this past week were stupid.
His QBR in ESPN's rankings is number 1.
That's strange. I mean, who knows? To me, it's an eye test. What does the eye tell you? When I watch Brock Purdy play, I'm pretty impressed.
Well, the guy,
the entire
number
time.
1,
the entire time he
never loses.
Yeah.
He doesn't really commit
just
turnovers.
Just a very efficient quarterback.
He has great weapons, but he doesn't give the ball to the other team. I mean, in 13 starts, he's got 4 picks.
He just doesn't throw a ton of touchdowns. Now, his completion percentage is crazy. He was 20 for 21 on Sunday.
I mean, that's absurd.
Now, look, some of those were dump-offs to C-Mac and to Mitchell, but, I mean, when you're 20 for 21, your completion percentage is 95%.
I mean, he's
I
72%
love
of the
PFF.
season.
72, yeah.
I love PFF, but some of it just jumps out at me like, all right, it makes sense at the top. They've got Tua at the top. They've got Trevor Lawrence number 2. He doesn't feel like he should be that high. Goff 3, Mahomes 4, Josh Allen 5. That's their top 5 right now. Russell Wilson's 8? I don't know. Surprised by these season-long PFF
But
grades
again,
for quarterbacks.
that's just one stat you're looking at or one list. There are tons of other lists.
In some ways, we treat PFF like it's the gospel that they look at every play, but it's the way that they look at him, I guess.
It's the way they look at him. Because in the QBR, Purdy's 1 in the league.
I mean, do your eyes tell you that?
How much stock do you put in QBR? I mean, a lot of people do.
Yeah, I actually put a decent amount of stock into the QBR.
I mean, he's got an 85 QBR. It's stupid.
Now, in terms of defensively for Washington, I had the defensive numbers. Where the heck did I put them? Benjamin St-Juste was the highest rated commander. I did kind of wonder why they decided for Manny Forbes to travel with AJ. I mean, clearly they were going at it, and he had his hands full. Manny Forbes got it by comparison. All right, Benjamin St-Juste in 71 plays had an 86.1 rating. All right, pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
That's like incredibly high, actually. Manny Forbes had a 41.6 rating. So I assume, I didn't watch the film, but I assume if Forbes was on A.J. Brown the whole time, St-Juste, for the most part, had Smith. I would assume, right? Or no?
I would think. I'm here, or Fuller.
Right. Maybe it was Fuller.
Maybe they were doubling.
Maybe it was Fuller.
On that side.
Maybe it was Fuller.
I would think that if you're going to have a rookie against one of the top 5 receivers in the league,
would have helped him more, right?
Help him over the top a little bit more.
Kendall Fuller, second highest rated player defensively. Casey Toohill. Now, he only played 5 snaps. Not going to put too much stock into that. Derek Forrest at a decent grade. Cam Curl rounds out your top 5. Chase Young, 61. Deron Payne, 55.
Payne ended up, if you looked at the stat sheet for the game, Payne ended up with like a donut. Like no tackles, no sacks, no tackles for loss.
For whatever it's worth, they had a middle of the pack in terms of their players. The lowest 3 guys, Emmanuel Forbes, Percy Butler, and then James Smith-Williams.
Kendall Fuller, according to PFF, is the number 5 corner so far this season.
Pretty crazy. I remember he made a good play. Was it down the sideline? I'm not sure.
You know who's up there in the top 10 is Christian Gonzalez.
Now, I saw he got hurt the other night. Is he okay? I remember he went into
He might be out for a while.
I think he's out.
I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, a knee or something. I can't remember what it was.
Him and Judon both got hurt.
Yeah.
So they had a couple of injuries.
All right, little concerning. Jahan Dotson made a big play right at the end of regulation to send the game into overtime with his touchdown catch. He had an early drop.
What happened to the guy who never drops it? Wasn't there rap on him? He didn't have a drop in college?
That was a high-profile drop.
That was a high-profile drop. It was right on his hands. But, I think he redeemed himself. Now, I'm a little bit concerned because he was a limited participant yesterday just for the little walkthrough.
Ankle.
Yeah, ankle injury. Don't know when he suffered the injury, but obviously he fought through it on Sunday. Now,
Christian Gonzalez dislocated his shoulder.
He's going to be out for a while.
Torn right shoulder labrum.
I believe Judon tore his bicep.
Yep, that's correct.
He's probably out for the year.
Now,
most likely.
If the shoulder, they can wrap it and whatever, and he can play through that, but eventually he's going to need surgery on that, especially if it's popping
Says they're
out.
expecting him to miss some time.
Yeah. It just depends on your pain tolerance.
That's another team that's circling the drain, the Patriots.
Yeah, you're right.
Spiraling out of control.
It's hard to fathom, but this game we're just 2 days away.
Yes.
It's
awesome.
Thursday night game. It's going to be awful on Sunday for me because I really look forward to Sundays. You know what? It might be a golf day.
Which
Get
day?
your
Sunday?
tea time in.
Might have to get my tea
look at
time in
that
there,
tea sheet.
Valdezi. Might be a golf day.
I'm sure it won't be crowded on a Sunday.
I think it might rain, though, this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Just showers this weekend?
Chances of rain, but not like downpours.
Nothing horrible. So it's Thursday night game, 8:15, obviously at FedEx Field. I think I saw, are there basically only single game tickets? Whatever they call those, single tickets available?
Not sure.
Not sure that you could buy a bunch of them together.
I'm sure it'll be a sellout by the time the game comes around.
Let's hope. If you
better leave like 3 hours before.
Oh, yeah.
Because a middle of the week game, like deal with Beltway rush hour traffic. Oh,
you couldn't pay me to go to that game.
Now,
sure we could. If the money was right, we could
couple
pay
just
you.
stats for you on Chicago.
It would take me 3 hours from Ashburn.
Bears obviously are winless. They're the Commanders are struggling defensively, which is a little eye-opening because that's supposed to be the strength of our team. I think all in all they might be giving up 28, 29 points a game, whatever the heck it is. The Bears, though, are giving up even more. They're giving up 34.3 points per game. That's 28th in the NFL. They're 30th in the league in passing yards allowed per game, 267.8. Maybe Hal can have another big one. 31st in passing touchdowns allowed. Against the run, they're a little better. They're 19th in the NFL in rushing yards allowed, 18th in rushing TDs allowed. Defensively, overall, they're 32nd in the NFL in third down efficiency, Teams can convert third downs at a rate of 58.9%. And in red zone efficiency, 30th. Teams are converting in the red zone. Now, I don't know if that just means a touchdown or field goal. I'm not sure on that. But 80%, at least they're getting some points in the red zone when you're going against the Bears.
I mentioned this yesterday. Everybody makes fun of the Broncos that gave up 70 points. They've given up 150 points in 4 games. That is horrific. They have no defense. Every quarterback looks good against the Denver Broncos. The Bears are neck and neck with them. They've given up 137 points. And if you look at the individual quarterback performances, like you go to week 1, Jordan Love looked damn good against the Chicago Bears defense, had 3 touchdown passes in that game.
Where do they rank
Look
in
at what
sacks?
the Chiefs did last week against them. They put up 41 points against the Bears. And then, of course, this week you had the performance by Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos coming back. Quarterbacks feast against the Chicago Bears.
The Bears have a nubby 2 sacks on the season.
Wow.
2 sacks.
That's really good.
That's gross.
That's great for us.
Oh, it's fantastic for this offensive line.
To put that in comparison, it looks like Buffalo has 16 sacks, the Chargers 16 sacks.
Khalil Mack had 6 sacks by himself in the game this past weekend.
Seahawks 16 sacks, if this is updated correctly, I think it is. The Ravens 15. Commanders, they're not bad. They actually are somewhat up there with 13. Bears only have 2.
2.
Yeah.
Listen,
they've got some injuries in the secondary.
I know people are very upset that I was deeming it a moral victory. I believe, by the way, I set the tone for the conversation for the whole post-game analysis by talking about a moral victory. Just so you know that.
No.
I believe I set the tone.
You're the
I
tone
told you,
setter.
it's spread all over the city.
Everybody,
Get the back patter out.
all they could talk about was moral victory. And there was one guy that was talking about it leading up to the game. I had two approaches: forfeit or moral victory. I went with the lesser of two evils.
Forfeit, people would really be upset.
I know. I didn't want to
Just
troll people
the
that
most
that
upset.
Back to the quarterbacks against the Bears defense. 3 quarterbacks in 4 games have had 3 touchdown passes against that Bears defense. The only one that didn't do it was Baker, who had a solid game against them, had 1 touchdown. So they've given up 10 touchdown passes in 4 games.
That's a bonanza.
I'm not listen.
For Sam.
I just want Sam to play well. I don't care how many touchdowns he throws. Just have another good, clean game. If he does that, this guy will be happy. And by the way, as I said, these next few weeks there are 0 moral victories to be had. In fact, there might not be any more moral victories on the schedule the rest of the way.
I almost look at the schedule the next 3 weeks and say, man, if you don't go at minimum 2-1,
Got to be 2-1.
you are bad.
Maybe 3-0.
There's an opportunity. They can rack up some wins here if they play up to their ability.
I think the Falcons
I
game
would agree.
could be tricky.
The Falcons game could be tricky just because Atlanta's tougher at home, but their quarterback
But
situation
they're pretty
sucks.
one-dimensional. So, I mean, you load up
And
the
if-
line.
if
Saw some quotes from Arthur Smith, though. He seems
Yeah.
pretty resolute on sticking with Ritter, and he basically said then the games they've fallen behind, they are a front-running team because they want to be able to have that balance, run the football, and that they've fallen behind, and he's kind of given Ritter a pass. But you can easily say that and bench the guy the next week.
He's so benchable, Desmond Ritter. It's right around the corner. It's coming.